Hi, we are joined again today by Kimberlie Warren with Beacon Health System, who has a PhD in healthcare administration and works in training and development with our associates. Thanks so much, Kimberlie, for being with us again today.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me.
So last time we talked about finding our calm, which is so important these days during the pandemic. Today, we're going to talk about another truly important topic, and that is how we are really thinking about COVID-19 and what we're thinking about it, how we're thinking about it, what it means in terms of showing up, whether it's at work, in our families, in everyday life. How do we show up? So talk a little bit for starters about what we mean by our mindset.
Yeah. So thanks, Heidi. The mindset is all about our mental attitude. It's just how we think about things and how we frame our perspective around things and how we respond to them. So it's our attitude mentally.
And how does mindset, or we should put it this way, what's mindset got to do with it as we're talking about COVID-19 and the pandemic?
Mindset is huge because the mindset, the way we see things, it's like the notion of the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if you have a positive mindset, guess what kind of outcomes you're generally going to get? You're going to get positive ones. If you got a negative mindset, then again, if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, you're probably going to get some negative outcomes because the way we think about things leads to how we feel about things, then our actions, and then our outcomes. So if our mindset, if we start out with a mindset that is, I'm going to use some dyad statements. If we have an abundant versus a scarcity mindset, right? Abundant means we see abundance, that things are there for us. If we think about scarcity, we're going to be scrapping to get any little tidbit that we can get. Think about the difference between those, right? If we think about fear, a fear mindset, then that fear is going to block us. If you remember about the fight or flight, when we're fearful, it doesn't allow us to think clearly. So it's going to block our logical thinking. Opposite of fear could be curiosity. Okay, COVID-19 is going on, and yep, it's just a little bit scary, but you know what? I'm a little bit curious about where is this virus coming from? How did it all happen? What can we do to protect ourselves? You see? So I'm thinking more clearly about, I better be sure I'm washing my hands for 20 seconds every time I wash my hands. I better be sure when I'm going to the store that I'm being more diligent about watching the environment around me. If we think about worry, what's the opposite of worry? It's mindfulness, right? Which space would you rather be in? If you're worried all the time, you're going to be hyper vigilant about all the fearful things that are going to happen. So that's the difference that mindset makes when it relates to COVID-19. If we're living in fear, we're never going to go out of the house, or we're never going to get the information that we need, or what we're going to do is watch every newscast on the TV, and not all of the information is accurate. So we're going to be misinformed.
And a lot of people are watching a lot of TV, a lot of the news, and probably are feeling fearful.
Yes.
How does mindset really impact our calm or our lack of calm as we're describing? And, we might just call that stress.
Mm-hmm. It again will take us to the notion of, if I'm so worried, if I'm hyper vigilant about COVID-19 more frequently than not, then I'm having a negative impact on my body in the way that we talked about the fight or flight. I'm not going to be able to engage with my family members, so it's going to impact my relationships as well. I'm not going to be able to do things that I used to do, or not be able to think clearly about, again, what I need to do and get things done. It could send us into some depression, or it could send us into some negative mental space that we might find even more difficulty coming out of. So that lack of calmness is going to impact us, body and mind.
So if we reframe our thinking, I think that's what you're kind of leading into, that we need to view things really with a positive mindset. If we do that,
Yes.
what's the gift that we receive? What's the opportunity that we have?
If we are able to reframe, and I'm going to take us a step back from positive and just even go to neutral,
Okay.
right? So we talked about with the stress, the fight or flight. the same thing as with the mindset. If we are able to take the pause and get our logical brain thinking as to how does this COVID-19 really impact me very directly, right? And then I can think about that and understand, well, in this situation, I have the opportunity to maybe work remotely or go into the office and have to engage with people. If I can calmly process that out, I'm going to say, I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to work remotely, still going to get my work done. I'm going to even be calm enough to get my work done remotely, because that could be problematic for some people too, because they just can't turn it off, right? If we are able to reframe any negativity to positivity, then we are more apt to see what is the gift here. Well, the gift here, if I can give just a very brief example for myself, the gift here is that we have been wanting in my area of training and development to change our mode of operation. And we have been wanting over time, since probably 6-9 months ago, to say, how do we make our content available electronically, webinars, just as we're doing here. But because I'm in the moment at work and doing all the other things and activities, I haven't had time to take the time to learn, right? So the gift in this whole COVID-19 thing and having to shelter in place and not be in the work environment is that it now is giving me the space to do that, to learn how to work differently without all of the other things bombarding me to say, I got to put that on the back burner. So that in itself is an opportunity and a gift, because I'm learning how to do things differently within the work that I do. I am not the most technologically savvy person, but I tell you what, over these last couple of weeks, I have had to get in there and do things that I wasn't doing before.
Haven't we all?
Is getting it, right? Girlfriend is getting it now. So we can do the same thing in our personal lives and our professional lives, wherever we are, with the reframing of every person is going to have a different gift and opportunity. But if we're so emotionally hijacked, we won't have the honor and the pleasure of identifying our gift and opportunity through our reframe. COVID-19 is not all bad. I mean, it has some bad outcomes, but as you said, we all are having to do things differently. So I guess I can generalize that. We all are having to do something differently. And where is the gift in that? And if nothing else, the gift is for people. I've been hearing a statement that sounds kind of like, don't let a crisis go to waste. How will you truly step up and be present and show yourself in a way that you probably would not have done had it not been for this crisis? And that's something for a lot of us to think about. How can we show up differently? What are we going to do differently? What new skill, what new ability, what new mindset are we going to take on as a result of COVID-19?
It may not be easy for some people when they sit back and think about how can I change my mindset when there are so many what ifs, when there is so much to take in, as you even alluded to. So what one tip or what one takeaway would you give to somebody who's thinking, there's just no way I can't be fearful in these times ahead of us?
Allow yourself your emotion. Yes, allow that to happen, but don't stay there. Find a way to refocus that energy. Emotions are energy sources, right? And so we can't destroy energy, but we can surely transform energy. So if people can find in their hypervigilant space some opportunity to just take a pause and say, despite all of the fear provoking that is happening for me, what is the blessing? What is the one thing that I can still be grateful for? Because gratitude is the emotion that puts us in our most coherent, the body in its most coherent space. If people can find just one thing, Heidi, to hold on to be grateful about, that's the beginning of the process of shifting from so much negativity to at least neutral, and perhaps to positivity.
What are we thankful for?
What are we thankful for?
We're thankful for you, Kimberlie.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for your perspectives. Invaluable.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Likewise.